Sukenik. I'm a previous Walk the Talk speaker. I was here if you've been to the show on Finding Purpose. I'm your MC for the night, so my job's to kind of keep it going. Well, go ahead. Thank you. Thank you. For those of you that are old enough, if I look a little familiar to you, you may have seen me when I won the dating game on national television in May of 1980. I was bachelor number 2. Well, by the way, I'm not making that up. And I didn't marry her, but my wife of 38 years is in the audience. Now, as an MC, we always like to get a sense of the audience. So if you can kind of help me out a little bit, how many of you have either been to a previous Walk the Talk series event, or maybe this is your first time? Can I get a show of hands? Very good. I love we have an abundance of people on the same page. And thank you for laughing. By the way, it's our 20th show. I think I mentioned that. I don't know if you've been to our YouTube channel. We happen to have one. You would go to YouTube. You would find Walk the Talk series, speaker series. You'll find 115 videos. You'll have these videos up and running probably in about 2 to 3 weeks. You can see the host show, or you can see individual speakers on all those topics. There's 20 topics because it's the 20th show, right? That's how that works. By the way, the next show will be February 5th, and that's going to be all about passion. So we hope many of you want to come back to that. And we'll release everything for 2020. By the way, we've had 70,000 unique visitors at our YouTube channel. We've had over 500,000 views. And if you don't mind, and if you don't mind, please go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, watch the videos. We hope you like them. Share them with your friends. We're trying to make a difference. We're trying to make an epic shift. In fact, Steve Ross, one of the founders, you'll get to meet him later, owned the Vogue for over 30 years, came up with the concept. And we are making a difference. And I'll tell you, this thing about abundance is kind of interesting to me. It seems so elusive to so many people. It's kind of hard to get your arms around it, isn't it? Some people think it's a birthright. They think it's something that you just are born into. You're born into it. Anybody feel that way? Like you're born into abundance? Like everything you have is abundant enough? And then there are some people that don't feel it's enough. So they want more. They think it's plentiful. But I'll tell you, a lot of people think it's everywhere. Everywhere you go, everywhere you look, you'll always find an abundance of something. Let me give you an example. We have found over all the shows we've ever had that we invite a bunch of friendly people to the event. That's kind of interesting. So here we have a couple of hundred people, and we think we've got a bunch of friendly people. So let me just prove to you that it's here tonight. When I say go, if you don't mind, I just want you to turn to 2 people, any 2 people you've not said hello to. Tell them who you are, how much you appreciate that they are here. Let them know you're looking forward to the show. Is that okay? Just 2 people. Go ahead, friendly people. Hey, listen, was I right? Do we have a bunch of friendly people here? Would you agree it's everywhere? So if we want to know more about abundance, we need to notice more. So the way you're going to make the most from tonight's show is you're going to be a meaning-making machine. Because as humans, we make meaning out of everything. So you've got 6 speakers. 26 people auditioned. We think we found 6 people that have a message. We hope you like them all. We hope that you find something in what they've got to say to make a difference for you. And that's what tonight's all about. So my question is, are you ready? Wait, I want to give something away. Can I? Anybody meet Andrea out there? Yeah, Cards for Humanity. Yeah, what a cool girl she is. She's got a little game, 22 cards, I think, and you can read it, and you can talk about humanity and make a difference. She said if you buy one, she'll give you one for free. So that's an abundant mindset. But I've got 2 of these I can give away. Anybody want them? There you go. You're right. just trying to give it away. So are you ready for your first speaker? Okay, listen, this lady is pretty cool. Her name is India Snorton. She's got 2 degrees from a university called Purdue. Yeah, Purdue. Yeah, great football team, we know. She's an her background is electrical engineering. But let me tell you what she was passionate about. She's passionate about education and making a difference. She was written up in the Wall Street Journal for making a difference and changing the education law in regards to charter schools in the state of Georgia. So she's passionate about something to do with this thing called abundance. Let's welcome India to the stage. India.
Thank you, Ron. Everybody, let's give it up for our host, Ron. Let's give it up for Ron. Yeah. You all have such great energy out there. I'm so excited to be with you all. Good evening. Good evening. Okay, I want to take you on a journey with me. I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to imagine yourself in the perfect, abundant state of flow. You're 22 years old. You're walking across the stage, graduating from college. You're the first in your family to get a degree like what you have. Your family is looking back at you proud. When you graduate, you're able to get a job in one of the most highly sought after tech companies in the world. You're able to come out making more money than your peers. You're in technology sales for one of the hottest companies in the world. You're making millions and millions of dollars for this company. You're also making so much money for yourself that you couldn't even imagine. You're driving your dream car. You're living in your dream house, condo. Now I want you to open your eyes and imagine that it's taken from you just like that. Well, folks, it happened to me. That person that I was describing to you is me. My manager at the tech company came to me one day and said, India, you are so good, spectacular at growing territories. I was able to grow territories from scratch in areas where my peers could not. He said, because you're so good, we're going to give your territory to Bob. Because Bob is retiring, and he doesn't have any territory left. So we're going to give that away to him. I felt dehumanized, devastated. My life exploded right before my eyes. One day I'm living the dream, the next day, nothing. I was scared. I was angry. I was humiliated. How could this happen? I did everything right. Well, in this instance, I'm going to take you on a journey, and I'm going to talk to you about abundance. Because abundance, the future is what you think it is, but it starts in your subconscious mind. And for me, I realized that I had to make some choices. Was I going to choose to have an abundance of fear my entire life, or was I going to choose courage and faith? And let me tell you guys, those three things can operate in your body at the same time. Like, I can be scared to be up here with you all, but the power is in your choice that you make every day, every minute, every second. So you ready to go on a journey with me? Awesome. So I'm going to show you how I went from fear to flow. So you may ask, what is flow? So I want you all to repeat after me. Get in my flow.
Get in my flow.
Get in my flow.
Get in my flow.
Awesome, awesome. And I love it because when you're in your flow, you're in a perfect state to where things are coming to you and you're able to understand your own power and your own worth. And so I believe there's 4 key elements to flow and getting in that flow of abundance. The 4 key elements are focus. What's your focus? Level up ability. What's your level up ability? Openness. Are you open? Is your heart open and ready for abundance? And way. So I want to show you this picture. You can look at this picture in one of 2 ways. You can look at it as someone sitting on the floor of a room, staring at the wall, which I got to admit, when that devastation happened to me, I sat in the room for a little while and focused on all of the things that were closing in on me. Or you can take a look at this as someone sitting on the top of a mountain and looking out into the open space and recognizing that one closed door means that you're open to all these other opportunities. And I realized that it was all about my focus. During this time, I took a moment to actually journal my thoughts. And what I realized, I wrote down everything that I loved about myself and everything I didn't like so much about myself. And guess what, guys? I don't know if you've done this, but I had a whole long list of things I didn't like about myself. Because I turned all that inward and started nitpicking at myself. And I knew that I had to make a shift. And I had to stop saying, because after all that, I felt like, well, God, I'm never enough. I can't please anybody. But what I realized is that they recognize something pretty strong in me. So, and I don't know about you all, but I know you've probably felt scared or lost or feeling like, how am I going to get out of this? But what I'm here to tell you today is that it takes a shift. You have to take your focus off of what you don't have and saying, I'm never enough, into I am enough. Say it with me. I am enough. I had to shift from, I had to have a lot of self-love, and I realized with that exercise that I really didn't love myself. And from that, and in putting things on paper, it actually allowed me to be more empowered over those things, to where it wasn't like trapped inside, just like you could be trapped inside this room. The L in flow stands for level up ability. Now, do you all see yourself as a light bulb? Or do you see yourself as the power within that light bulb? Because guess what? If you are the power in that light bulb, nothing can stop that power source. Nothing can stop that power from flowing. No matter what your situation is, no matter what that outside of that light bulb is, your limits, your power goes beyond that. And so I had to start asking myself, where does my backup power come from? And I realized that my backup power comes from the unlimited power of God Himself. And because I am plugged into that unlimited power of God, that means I have access, yes, to any and everything that He has created on this earth. And so I had to shift and open up my heart to my purpose. And I began to pray, Lord, let your power flow through me. Let me be a light, and let that light draw in everyone that is supposed to be in my path for my purpose. And in that prayer, that's how I was able to start charter schools and to actually help people find their own purpose, and also help to change some laws in Georgia that needed to be tweaked. Where is your power source? Where does your backup power source come from? Because when I got to the end of myself, I had to look to something bigger than me. Openness. Just as I said before, like, I had to be so vulnerable that my heart was open to grow and to learn from others. How often do you ask for help? That's what I had to ask myself, because I felt like I did all this stuff. But truly, it had to humble me to say, I can't do it by myself. And the way. It's a powerful statement that Dr. Brené Brown said that stuck with me. And it's that what stands in your way becomes the way. And I realized when that situation happened, I had so much fear in my subconscious. And I realized if I let that fear drive me, I was going to consistently try to go back to getting those things without recognizing the power in me and allowing my image and my self-worth to be defined by those things. So I ask you to close your eyes again and go on another journey with me. We are at the bottom of a mountain. My mountain was fear. What's your mountain? And imagine yourself at the bottom of that mountain. And I want you to take away these thoughts. I am grateful for this journey. I am grateful for the power to choose every day, to choose faith and courage over fear and doubt. And because of my focus on faith and fear, because of my focus on faith and courage, I'm able to level up. And by leveling up, that means I plug into my power source, that unlimited power source of unconditional love. And because of that level up ability, I allow myself to be an open vessel for the power of the Creator. And I ask that we now stand and that we choose the way of abundance, of power, unconditional love, peace, joy, and I am worthiness. Thank you all for going on this journey with me.
Yeah. India.
Yes.
Wow. So she said you have to be the power, right? She talked about the light bulb. So it's kind of like coming from being the fire. You don't just walk up to the fireplace and get warm, right? Yeah. She talked about flow.
Get in my flow.
Yeah. Yeah, she's younger than me. I'm trying to flow. I'll get there.
You got it.
No, but help me out. Help me out. Leveling up.
Yes.
Give me some hints on that. What could you share about leveling up? How do I level up?
I think that you have to first know who you are, know what your power is. And in that, leveling up means that you're always humble enough to be willing to grow, to be willing to learn, and be willing to evolve. And I believe that you have to be vulnerable. You have to be vulnerable and recognize, okay, we all have flaws, but we have to love ourselves through those flaws, and you have to love yourself enough to say, hey, I have this whole big world out here that I can learn from and grow from.
Being vulnerable means I'm open, but I'm not defenseless.
That's right.
Okay, let's hear it again for India. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. You got it.
Wow. Oh. Well, thank you. No, that's not for me. That's for your next speaker. This next lady is she's incredible. She's got a whole different story. She comes from a whole different place. Her background, she's got degrees, 2 degrees. You know, some people have time. They go to college for a long time. In nursing, psychology, she's worked with a lot of people that have had developmental problems and issues and challenges. She's been with a lot of people that are at the end of their life. So she's really dedicated her knowledge and her skill to helping others. And she's received awards for strength, resilience. Her name is Rhonda Robinson. So and Rhonda needs to sit down when she talks with you, but let's welcome Rhonda. Rhonda, are you here?
I stumbled through the door and I started running into the walls of my kitchen, just trying to make my way to the couch because I thought if I could sit down for just a minute, the overwhelming dizziness would stop. I got to the couch, but things just got worse. My body was having a hard time struggling with just basic functions. So one leg was warm and red, the other leg was cool and pale. I was shaking one minute, I was sweating the next. My blood pressure dropped so low that we propped my legs up on pillows to keep the blood flow to my brain. Every muscle in my body hurt. So I was trying to be as still as possible because every movement just made the pain and the dizziness worse. But then I had to go to the bathroom, and I stood up to find that my leg muscles were too weak to support me, and I collapsed to the floor. So I used my arms to drag myself to the bathroom until my arm muscles became too weak to do that. I couldn't move. What was I going to do? I wasn't prepared for any of this because even though my health had been bad leading up to this, I had no idea that something like this would happen. So I wasn't prepared with a wheelchair yet. There wasn't a bedside commode. All I had was a yoga mat and a very scared but resourceful wife. She used the yoga mat to drag me to the bathroom, where she and a neighbor lifted me onto the toilet. I had done this many times as a nurse for other people, but I wasn't supposed to need this. And the love of my life certainly wasn't supposed to see me in this condition at 43 years old. So the next thing is I was lifted onto the bed, and I thought I would stay in the bed for a couple of days, maybe. It ended up being months. That bed became an island to me, and the bedroom was my world. And the scene outside of my window was a movie because I could no longer participate in that. I could only watch. And this was so different from just not even a year before that. So in 2017, my life was amazing. I had just finished training in metalsmithing, and I moved to Bloomington, and I set up a cute jewelry studio, and I even opened my own business. And I got this really cool retro bike, and I don't know why that stands out to me so much, but it does. It was mint green in color, and it had a little basket on the back, and I would ride it to the farmer's market, and I would put fruits and vegetables in the basket. And then when Christmas came, we would make cookies shaped like reindeer for our neighbors. It was a wonderful life, and I was so grateful. I loved it. Doesn't that sound like the life of abundance to you? Yeah, it did to me too. But now I understand abundance a little differently, and I'm hoping that through my story, maybe you will too. March the 2nd, 2018 is when everything fell apart. I woke up that morning to go to an art show in Ohio, and I could barely lift my head from the table. Suddenly, overnight, no warning, I went from being healthy and active to not being able to walk my dog, prepare my food. I could only shower once a week. And it was just so different. The jewelry studio, remember the jewelry studio? I haven't been back there to work since. And when I do go there now, it's shocking because it's just like it was 2 years ago. And it reminds me of being a child and seeing the unfinished portrait of President Roosevelt. Have any of you seen that? He died before the portrait could be completed. And that's what my studio reminds me of now, because there are drawings of jewelry that I was going to make and little components just waiting to be put together. And it reminds me of dreams that never came true, and also of just how quickly a life can change. I still spend the majority of my time in that bed. And that's probably hard to imagine right now because I'm doing so much better, and I'm so thankful for that. And I can look very healthy. But during the worst times, I couldn't tolerate light or the sound of birds, and I couldn't follow a conversation. I would forget where I lived or even if I had eaten that day. And it was just so much different, and I was in so much pain sometimes that I had to be propped up with pillows. And sometimes I didn't even have the strength to pick up a glass of water. It took a long time to figure out what was going on. And during that time, a lot of times I thought I was dying, because how could someone be feeling like I did? How could a body feel like mine and not be dying? And at one point, a doctor mistakenly thought, he saw a large tumor in my abdomen, and he thought it was causing all of my symptoms, including my cognitive problems. So I knew that if a tumor in my abdomen were causing me to forget where I lived, then it would not be good. So without my wife knowing, I found a therapist for her, one who specializes in grief after the loss of a loved one. Obviously, I didn't die, but at the time, what happened seemed worse. And it was that I was diagnosed with a debilitating neuroimmune disease that has no cure, no good treatment options, and only a 5% recovery rate. In the most severe cases, people spend their lives in darkness, unable to speak or eat or move, kept alive on feeding tubes. And I spent a lot of time in my own dark bedroom, wondering, how in the world am I going to live this way? Because even though people die of complications from this disease, it's not terminal. So I knew that at 43 years old, I could be living that life or worse for many, many years. And I wanted my old life back so badly. But what I got was so much better than that. And that was, first of all, a knowing that I had to surrender. I had to just stop fighting the current, and I had to just let it take me wherever that was going. And I didn't surrender to the disease, and I didn't give up hope, but I stopped longing for a life that was no longer mine. And I've heard it said that silence is not empty, it's full of answers. And I had everything stripped away from me almost that I considered something that would bring happiness. But in the silence of that bedroom, my question, how am I going to live this way, was answered. And the answer was, you are going to see the aliveness in this moment and every moment and the fullness of the life that you have right now. Fullness, really, I did not feel like my life was full. But then I started thinking, and really what I wanted was just peace and joy. And I realized that I could have that without anything changing, because inside of myself, I had something that was so much greater than the job or the bike or even the physical health. I had the ability to live from a space of abundance and see through the lens of gratitude. Because, of course, abundance is not what we get or what we do or what we achieve. It's a space that we can all live in and from. Everybody, all of you, can live from a space of abundance. And sometimes we look for it in the wrong places because we've been told all of our lives that it's something out there to find, but it's not. It's in here, and it can never be lost. I had it on the days that I was in so much pain, and I had it when I couldn't bathe or dress myself, and I even had it when I felt like having a terminal illness would have been better because at least the suffering would end. I had it, but I didn't know. But when I started living my life from a place of abundance, it opened me up to this unimaginable peace and joy and gratitude. I was still in that same bedroom, but it had its own beauty now. And now I love to watch the birds outside of the window and the people walking by, walking their dogs, riding their bikes. And I'm so thankful and grateful that I can walk to the bathroom on my own. And if I can't, I'm so grateful that I have someone to help me. And those pillows are such a gift when I'm in pain. And I remember when I could listen to music again, oh my gosh, my physical body could not dance, but my soul, it danced. And then when I was able to go outside again and I was pushed in my wheelchair down a little path near my house, it was amazing, the smell of the grass and the trees and the dirt and the water. It was better than any vacation I'd ever been on because I was living with open arms and an open heart. And here I am on this stage tonight. It is absolutely amazing, and I am so grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I choose to believe that I'm going to be one of the 5% who recover. Thank you. Thank you. But I also know that if my improvements are a remission and not a recovery, that I'll still be at peace. And I'll still know joy. Because abundance doesn't come from anything I get from the outside. And I know that now. I know that I don't need any of that stuff. That it's all in here. And it's in here for everyone. Everyone can have that right now. I feel like an essential part of this story is that I've realized that you really have to understand that you have abundance already within you before you look outside of yourself for anything. And the reason for that, because looking back on my life before the illness and then now, if you don't know that who you are is enough without anything out there, then anything that you get, anything that you attain, any car or bike or job or whatever, is just going to bring fear attached to it. And that's because if you don't know that you don't need that stuff for your life to be enough, for you to be enough, then you're going to be terrified of losing it. And the more anxiety you get, the more you'll want to get things from the outside to distract yourself from that. And you might attain a whole lot of things, and you might achieve a whole lot of things, but you'll never know lasting joy and peace. And I learned that the hard way through pain and suffering, and that's the way I've noticed that a lot of people learn it. But why does it have to be that way? Why do we have to be brought to our knees before we realize that what we need is inside of us? If you're looking for abundance or a more abundant life, like I think everybody is, how are you going to find it? Will you wait for an experience that brings so much suffering that it strips away that false belief that what we need is something from out there? Or will you choose to live from a place of abundance right now, feeling the fullness of this moment and every moment, living with an open heart and having gratitude for the things that may seem small, but I promise you they are not small. And knowing that you are more than enough. Before I leave, I just want to do one thing with you, okay? If you'll just place your hands over your heart, that beautiful heart, and you can close your eyes if you feel comfortable, and you don't have to say this out loud, but what I want you to do is really feel it. So say to your beautiful self, your wonderful self, what I have is enough. What I do is enough. Who I am is enough. And you can open your eyes. And I hope you all take that with you when you leave tonight, because it is true for all of you. It is so, so true. Thank you.
Yeah, come on. You want to get up? Come on.
Thank you so much.
I like you. I like you. Wow.
Thank you.
You got to take a breath. Everybody breathe. You don't know how much that means to Sharon. Rhonda.
This is Ted. This is Ted right here. Ted's
I'm fired. They're going to get rid of me. I know it. No. Listen. I'm just curious. It's just, what helps you stay in that space of abundance? I mean, from what you've been through. I mean, how do you stay there? Can you give us some thoughts on that?
Yeah, I can. It's a practice, because you do have to, or I have to center myself, and I have to really dedicate time to understanding what it is that really matters in life. And I also make it a point to see and have gratitude for the things that are really small in life that I thought were so small before, but are not small. And so that keeps me always reminded, no matter how I feel, whether I feel better or whether I feel not so great, that reminds me of what really matters.
Very good. So we're kind of like the creator of our own experiences. And when she talks about the hand and the heart, always remember the heart fully develops before the brain. That's where the passion is for what you want in your life. So let's thank Rhonda.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks.
Wow. By the way, did you miss me? No, I'm kidding. It's not about me. By the way, somebody just asked me if I've been married. I'm currently celebrating my 50th wedding anniversary. That's not a joke. No, but the fact is I've only been married for 38 years. I read an article about the 50th. I understand a lot of people never make it. They go through a divorce or they die. I said to myself, and I said to my wife, who's here tonight, why are we going to wait 12 years to celebrate when we can celebrate now? I've only spent about 332,000 hours with my wife. That's an abundance of time. Okay, now I've got you ready for your next speaker? Oh, the hits just keep coming. This girl is she's always happy. That's not a joke. No, she's always happy. She loves to share her passion for making a difference for humanity. That's what she wants to awaken humanity. Are there any humanities here tonight? Because that's what she's all about. And she loves to write, and she loves to sing. In fact, if I'm correct, I think she'll sing for you tonight. And she has an abundance of love with her husband, and she has an abundance of love with 2 girls, 2 children. Let's welcome Hannah Wagner.
Wow, there's so many people here. You guys sound awesome. I don't know what I'm doing. Hold on, here we go. Just gonna set that there. So, hi. So when I heard at the end of last year that the final topic for Walk the Talk in 2019 would be abundance, I had this feeling that I was going to have something to say. I also thought that I knew exactly what it was that I was going to say. And I was wrong. I thought that I was going to stand before all of you today talking about the manifestation techniques that I had used to manifest abundance in my life. And I tried that for a few months. I sat in my closet and I did my meditations and my visualizations and my affirmations and my tarot cards and my crystals and all of that, waiting to attract, to script my own life, bring in the perfect real estate clients with really big, expensive houses that wanted to buy even bigger and more expensive houses. And I was going to help them do both of those things. And I was going to manifest $25,000 and tell you all about that today. And that's not what happened. In fact, in March, I just clean ran out of money. And I had to go to my mom and say, I don't have enough money to pay our mortgage or to send my older daughter to school. And we had a very fun conversation about the ways in which manifesting abundance is or is not real between her grounded Virgo self and my ethereal Aquarius self. And seeing as how my ethereal Aquarius self was sitting in her grounded Virgo's living room asking her for money, I didn't have much of a leg to stand on. I don't know where she is, but she's loving this. There she is. Yep. You were right. I'll never say it again. You were right. She said, what are you doing? Go make money now. Go serve. Go wait tables. You love doing that. I said, yeah, I do, but I thought I was supposed to be like this awesome realtor and get all this success. So I took my head off. I, surrendered my ego, and I started serving, which I do love. I love serving, waiting tables. And that took the pressure off majorly. We had enough money again. I paid my mom back, actually. We were able to go on our first family vacation. Abundance started to come in, but I was still attached to that idea of manifestation and creating my own reality. I felt like I'm missing something. What am I not getting here? So I started to pray for a teacher. And I got one, but not the way that I thought it was going to look. I had followed, this is just me all night being like, I was wrong. That's what I came here to tell you all. My mom's loving this. I really thought that all of these amazing people on Instagram who talked about living in huts and then going to, 10 figures in no time, that was how I was supposed to learn. But instead, I got an email from a woman who I used to do emotional release therapy sessions with. I'm sure a good amount of you know what that is. It's like therapy, but with your emotions and energy and stuff. And had I not been introduced to this woman in that way, I don't think that I would have had the ears and eyes for everything that came from her. But she sent me an email that said, this email could change your life. Okay, I'm listening. And she was looking for guinea pigs for a new course that she had created called 90 Days to Becoming Who God Says You Are. So I was just as curious as I'm sure any of you are to know who God says I am. So I signed up, and this course consisted of daily emails with scripture and ways to apply the lessons to your life, weekly coaching calls, training videos, but the point being that it was very much rooted in Christianity. And I'm a very spiritual person. I've always loved God, grew up reading the Chronicles of Narnia, love Aslan, which, if you don't know, is just Lion Jesus. But I hadn't, truly, I never was really open to that idea of all the theology of Christianity, of all of their beliefs, because I'm sure that as many of you have seen what I saw, which was the terrible ways in which so many branches of this religion took the truth and twisted it and used it for a weapon. But as I started to do these exercises and started to do things like praying for Jesus's magical healing waters to come in and take away pain and trauma, and it worked. It worked. I started to have freaking identity crises. One thing that happened, oh my God, this shit is real. This is real. What does that mean? Who am I? I'm Christian. Oh my God, I'm Christian. I was so terrified. I'm still kind of scared to identify with it, but it is so true. And one thing that I learned in this course was that Jesus sees you as fully capable. Fully capable. Yes, see there? You already know. I didn't know. I was wrong. That I'm fully capable. And that started to bring internal abundance to me in a very profound way, because I'm a mother, as Ron said. 2 girls, 2 children, as he clarified. That's an important clarification. I didn't ever really want to be a mom. I grew up my whole life actually saying, I'm not going to do this. I don't think I'd be good at it. I don't want to do it. I met my husband and finally started to think, okay, maybe I could have your kids, but then boom, we were pregnant. And I felt like I did not consent to this. I consented to the act that created the children. I didn't consent to the task of motherhood. But I love my daughters, don't get me wrong, but there was this underlying part of me that resisted this role and thought, this is not me. I can't do this. But to hear that Heavenly Father, that Jesus, that the creator of all life sees me as fully capable, I'm capable. I started to step into this role and feel truly abundantly blessed that I was a mother, that I have this ability to spend time with these beautiful humans this way. So that was the first shift where I started to really understand what abundance was, not bringing money into me. But the second one was that after having understood the depth of God's love for me and really giving credence to all of this, I was able to hear the message that he sent to me, which was that I was walking around with the antithesis of abundance: depression. Depression and anxiety, and actually bipolar disorder as well, the ups and the downs, which I thought was just, I've had kids, I have hormones, you know? Woo, everybody says, yeah, you yell at your kids, yeah, you scream, you have bad days, and I'm like, I don't think you guys get it. I feel fucking crazy, like for real. But I also thought that, okay, I just need to work harder. I just need to do more meditations, more oils, more crystals, whatever. But it was like I was training for a marathon on a broken leg. Why am I not getting faster? I'm doing all the workouts. Well, your fucking leg is broken. You need to go get a cast on it and do physical therapy. Oils ain't gonna heal that, but I wanted it to. I have always been so anti-modern medicine for good reason, as a lot of you know, but there's a time and a place for it, and this was the time and the place. And I said, all right, fine. All right, I have a chemical imbalance. Those of you who know my history with substance abuse and addiction, it made a lot of sense. I give it to you, fine, I surrender to your way, but please don't make me have to run around to 10 different doctors and try all these different medications and all the therapists that don't work. Just make it easy, please. And within about a week, I had a good doctor who I had a really good feeling from, medication that I started that within days I started to feel the difference, and a good therapist, which to me was just a mark of how desperately God wanted my healing. Dr. Pamela Riley, the woman who created this course, says that God wants our healing more than we do, all the time. So, abundance, right? My daughters, giving up depression, and I do feel like I've become who God says I am, which is this ball of love and light, which I always kind of was, but there was this anchor. I feel like that anchor is being reeled up and tossed away. And he told me, I swear to you, God said to me in one of these meditations and one of these exercises, inspire my children to remember my love for them. Because I think we've forgotten, a lot of us. So, with that being said, I'm going to play you a song that always inspires me to remember how much God loves us. And it's not at all what you think. You might not have even ever heard it. I'm a big fan of Disney, and they have a compilation of American legends, a little short animated feature that they do. Like they do John Henry and Paul Bunyan, and Johnny Appleseed is one of them. And at the beginning of this short animated feature, he's hopping around in his apple trees, just singing about how happy he is and how good the Lord is to him. So, here's my little rendition, a little less Scottish, Irish? I don't know, he says Lord, so I'm gonna try to say Lord. Oh, the Lord is good to me, and so I thank the Lord for giving me the things I need, the sun and rain and an apple seed. Yes, he's been good to me. I owe the Lord so much, there it is, Lord, for everything I see. I'm certain if it weren't for him, there'd be no apples on this limb. Yes, he's been good to me. Oh, here am I 'neath the blue, blue sky, doing as I please, singing with my feathered friends, humming with the bees. I wake up every day as happy as can be, because I know that with his care, my apple trees, they will still be there. Yes, he's been good to me. And every seed I sow will grow into a tree. how one day soon there'll be apples there for everyone in the world to share. Yes, he's been good to the Lord's been so good to, yes, he's been so good to me. Thank you. Thank you. So I was gonna end right there, but then Steve was like, "You gotta wrap up your talk," and I was like, "I thought that did it," but I will. I'll leave. I don't know where he is. I'm gonna get it for that. I will leave you with 3 truths that I feel like I've come into this year: what abundance is, what it is not, and where it comes from. Abundance is all of those blessings that you are overlooking, that you already have. The fact that you are even alive, sitting here with all of your basic needs met is more than so much of the world can say right now. You are so abundant in so many ways. Abundance is not depression. And I'm not here to endorse modern medicine or the lack thereof. I am here to endorse God's path of healing for you, and to say that it looks different for everybody because everybody is different. Thank you. That person felt strongly about that. And then finally, where does abundance come from? It comes from God. It comes from the creator of all things, of love, of light, of connection. And my prayer for you tonight is that you leave here feeling the depth of that truth on a level that you have never felt it before, and that you know of God's abundant love for you. Thank you.
Hey. Here, come over here. Wow. I had the impression that I was at Cracker's Comedy Club or something. Is she that funny? Wow, that was really great.
Thanks.
And everybody gets this concept of abundance from somewhere, and you look at the Almighty, and that's a great place to go.
Went straight to the source.
Straight to the source. But look, my daughter called me the other day, and she works with Saks Fifth Avenue in New York, and they got a big thing with Frozen. Frozen's a big thing right now, apparently, and I don't know if I have an abundance of you playing music. Would you like to hear her play something from Frozen? Like, how about let it go, let it go,
Ron, you know that's old.
That's old.
You know Frozen 2 is out, right? Let It Go's
Yeah,
gone.
we
let it go. It's been gone. It's gone. But where we should be going is, wait, into the unknown, into the unknown,
come on, everybody sing.
Into the unknown. Go see Frozen 2.
Alrighty. Super.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Rob.
Wow. Did you have enough, or you ready more? You want more? This next speaker kind of wears me out. She's 24 years old. She's smart. And everything that she has done is not on my bucket list. She's into community betterment. And she does it in various ways. For instance, she recycled 133,000 cans for some project to do something. She wanted, that's not a joke. Trust me, 133,000 cans takes a lot of effort. But when you go to Bloomington, that's what they do down there. They drink and then they get the can. No, I'm sorry. She went kayaking in Antarctica. Now, come on, give me a break. Raise your hand if you've done it. Okay, nobody. I got it. Somehow, she ended up climbing up the summit of Kilimanjaro. That's a long trip. Raise your hand if you've been there. Well, good. Well, you can relate to it. And if that's not enough, this is what they did in Bloomington. They built the largest gingerbread home in the Midwest. I mean, you've got to have some time on your hands to do stuff like that. Her name is Christina. She's a pretty cool girl. Let's welcome Christina to the stage.
Well, I think Ron pretty much just took care of my whole speech, so that'll be all for me. Thank you very much. So I've heard from the speakers that you guys have been a really awesome audience tonight. So we're going to test that and see if it's true. And what I want you to do is we're going to start by talking about dreams. I want you to turn to the person next to you and tell them a dream you have for your life. Go ahead. All right, you guys ready for part two? Turn to the person on the other side, and I want you to tell them an even bigger dream you have for your life. Go ahead. All right. So now I have a question for you. Why did you not say that second dream first? So when I was telling my mother, hi Mom, she's right there. When I was telling her what I was speaking on tonight, she said, that's a very interesting topic. It's kind of weird because the phrase is incomplete. And I said, you know what, Mom? Like most things in life, you're right. Abundance of what? What do you have abundance of? Well, for me, the exhilarating thing about the topic of abundance is you get to fill in the blank. You get to choose what to have an abundance of because you get to pick your life dreams. So Ron kind of started touching on it. I have what some people might call an addiction. Some people call it extremism. My mom and my dad sometimes call it hard to deal with, but they also love it about me, I know this. I call it a zest for life. So I'm 24. By the time I was 21, I was one of the first people in my family to speak a foreign language. By 22, I had raised over $35,000 to help house a family through Habitat for Humanity, and I had graduated college debt-free. Yeah! That's a good feeling. By the time I was 23, I not only kayaked in Antarctica, but I swam in Antarctic waters. And I was hired in to run a company. By the time I was 24, I had saved my best friend's life. And before 25, so in this year, I'm still 24, I had summited Mount Kilimanjaro, and those 130,000 cans I collected eco-funded the trip. So the money I got for recycling those in Indianapolis paid for this trip, and I would not be doing this project justice if I didn't get a shout out to Megan. There she is, who did the project with me, so applause for Megan, yeah. We're gonna touch a little bit more on that process a little bit later. So all of these experiences have been quite wonderful, and at times in my life, I didn't actually feel comfortable sharing them with people. I shied away for various reasons. I didn't want to make people feel insecure. I was very concerned about coming across as conceited or arrogant. And so I had to process why that was. And what it really came down to is what Marianne Williamson has been quoted here saying, that oftentimes our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is what we can truly become. It is that giant potential that we have in front of us that we are scared to show. And sometimes sharing that story can be intimidating because we're afraid about how other people might react. Maybe they'll laugh at our dreams. Maybe they don't want to hear about what we've done. But the thing is, when people react like that, those are the people who need to hear that story the most. Because their reaction that may be so negative to you is not your insecurities. It is theirs being shown to your story. And the thing about it is they need to see what it looks like to be abundant. They need to see courage. Going after your dreams is not an easy task. And they need to see in somebody else what that looks like, because it inadvertently gives you are giving them permission to be themselves, to chase after their own dreams. And you are a walking example of what that can look like. So I thought about this. What am I doing differently? What is taking me to Antarctica? What is taking me to climb Kilimanjaro? And why aren't other 24-year-olds necessarily doing the same thing? I've met plenty of people, tons of people who are smarter than me. I've met plenty of people who are funnier than me. Maybe they can run faster. There's pretty much nothing that I'm the best at. But what I am doing is I'm living beyond my limits. And the important takeaway, if you take away one thing from this speech today, what I want you to know is that I live beyond my limits, but you can too. So, the thing about living beyond limits is this. It's not easy, it's not glamorous, and it takes a lot of work. People love to publicize overnight successes. The Keurig, people love that. It's an awesome invention. It's so new and so edgy. The patent for that was filed in the 1980s. So that kind of gives you some perspective. We're a little bit distant from the 1980s to consider that an overnight success. If you were born in the 80s or before, you're still young. Don't worry about it. But what you need to know about that, that was because my mom is sitting in front of me. What you need to know about that is this, that abundance takes perspective, it takes persistence, and it takes sacrifice. So let's dive a little deeper into each one of those, starting with perspective. It's easy to come up with a million reasons why you can't do something. I couldn't possibly make the Olympics. I'm way too old for that. I live in a world with a glass ceiling for women. There's no way I could run a multinational company. The world's not set up for me to have that path. Make it easy. How about an Indianapolis favorite? I couldn't go outside. It's impossibly cold. The thing about impossible is it actually spells I'm possible, as Audrey Hepburn would say, and that I also endorse. So how can you start to engage that mentality? In order to explain that point, I'm going to bring in a little bit of math. I don't want that to intimidate anybody. I'll try and keep it simple and quick. So let's start by looking at game theory. And this is all about perspective. Zero-sum games. You win or you lose. You get 1 point for winning, you get -1 for losing. Together, that adds up to 0. Good, you guys are so good. This is a smart audience. I love that. But how about, 0 to me, that says something that's not abundance. 0 is the absence, right? I don't want something that's not abundant. That's not exactly why I was chosen to speak tonight. So let's talk about non-zero-sum games. You have more options. You can win and still get a point. You could still lose and get a -1, but what if what if we could both win? Now, is my sum different than 0? Yeah, that's good. So if we can start approaching situations in a mutually beneficial way, we can have really effective outcomes. This is a picture of me after Antarctica. The man in the t-shirt's name is Sir Robert Swan. He was the first person to trek to both poles. He walked to the North Pole and to the South Pole. Very dramatic, daring stories, and he was the one who led the trip I went on to Antarctica. Now, the thing about Antarctica is I'm a young professional, so I love to travel. Antarctica sounded pretty cool, it sounded exotic, but I'm also a young professional, so I hate to pay for those kind of things. And so I had to think, how can I go to Antarctica and not pay for going to Antarctica? This is literally my mindset. So I thought, all right, Sir Robert Swan, he has a pretty awesome story, and he's looking to expand his speaking circuit. He's looking to book gigs for audiences that he hasn't spoken to previously. I recently graduated from Indiana University. Go Hoosiers. Thank you. And they're always looking to bring awesome, engaging speakers for their student body. So they might want to book him. I figured if I could be the agent, the one who connected the two, the funds that would go to that he would be earning for coming could also go to covering my trip, and everybody would be in a win-win-win situation. Non-zero-sum game. Everybody was excited. They agreed to it. They were in. 2 weeks before that, though, which happened to be after I already went to Antarctica, they decided they weren't in. And the university and the speaker both tried to back out on me. Let me tell you, felt like a zero-sum game. In fact, that almost stuck me with a $15,000 bill that I wasn't expecting to pay, so it really felt like a -15,000 sum game. I took the needed 24 hours to not go to my email and start typing my initial thoughts, which is a coping mechanism that I recommend to everybody. And then I went back to the drawing board and thought, okay, we need to remind everybody why this was a victory for all involved. Can we get back to the root cause of what we were doing this for? Once everybody was reminded about why they were in, the university recommitted, the speaker recommitted, and we were able to pull off the speech as a success. That applause was what I was hearing in my head when I got the recommittance from both of them and thought about my bank account too. So the next thing that we want to talk about is how abundance takes persistence. How does it feel when you hear no? Good? Does anybody like hearing no? I don't like hearing no. And I still recommend trying to ask questions where you get the no answer, because the thing about no is this. When someone gives you a no, they're telling you what you need to get a yes. No is very informative. It's somebody else saying, in this situation, my needs are not met. And so if you can think, how can I meet those needs based on the stories that we were discussing before, then you can start to engage for what the yes would become. When I was in high school, there was a sunroom connected to the cafeteria that was not being used. And it seemed ridiculous. If we could put seating out there, we could eat outside during lunch. A bunch of high schoolers who are squirrely in the classroom, this seemed like a no-brainer, give us some fresh air. I decided that I was going to petition the administration to get the seating out there. A lot of those people were thinking, many people have already tried this, why are you even trying? Everybody got the answer no. I went in there, and I also got a no. And so I went back, explained this to my family, who gave me some really good advice on how to address a lot of those concerns, and I went back, and I got another no. And I continued to get no's. In fact, I got 8 no's, and I'm pretty sure the only reason I got a yes was because the principal was tired of seeing me in his office. But the thing about that was he didn't know who he was dealing with. So he said, yes, if you can raise the money, you can get the seating out there. So 4,500 candy bar sales later, I was the first one called, I was called out of English class to be the first one to sit in the newly installed outdoor furniture. Pretty much everybody in my high school knows me as Candy Girl. They don't know me as Christina, so it's only weird if it doesn't work. Now is for the most fun part of the speech. Now it's for the most fun part of the speech, which is work. Abundance is something that we all assume is just given to us, right? You're born into a family lottery and you're given this great family. You have an abundance of material things and they're just like awesome and just show up on your door one day. You know, you just think it's like maybe trick-or-treating, and then it just all appears. Unfortunately, that is never the case. The thing that you need to know about your dream is that you are going to give up things to get your dream. In order to climb a mountain, you will spend some of your Friday nights strategizing with your friends what to do and training, what to do for your business plan to get you there, instead of going out with a lot of your other friends. In fact, you might even find yourself at the Indianapolis 500 diving into the cans that your other friends who are in the snake pit may have vomited in to get your cans out so you can recycle them. We tried to avoid them, but there were some close calls there. So when you're thinking about everything that it takes, and when you're talking about, yeah, I climbed Kilimanjaro, you think it looks like this. 6 beautiful people, right? That was a good-looking crowd, right? Yeah. This is because it was the first day of the trip. We hadn't had 7 days of no showering yet, so, and they're all excited, we're energized, we're ready to go, and people see this and they're like, yeah, they looked like that from the starting point to the top of the mountain. We looked a little bit more like this. If you'll notice here, right in the blurry front, that's probably my favorite expression of, you have got to be kidding me, when is this gonna be over? 5 of the 6 of us would actually be affected by altitude sickness that would lead to vomiting, splitting headaches, and by the time we got to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro, it was a matter of 10 minutes before we were all sprinting back down to get oxygen, because one thing that we did not have was abundance of oxygen at the top of the mountain. However, standing on top and realizing all the work that my team had put in, all the tough decisions we had made to collect 130,000 cans and make a difference in Indianapolis, and reforest areas of Mount Kilimanjaro, and work for 5 months to train to get to that point right there, made me the most abundantly rich person in the world. And it was worth all of the sacrifices that I made. So my encouragement to you today is to remember that living without limits is not easy. It takes perspective, it takes persistence, and it takes sacrifice. But if you want it, you can have it. Just choose what that blank is. An abundance of what? What do you want in your life? And be ready to take the sacrifice and make the change. It'll all be worth it. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you. So, wow, if you had to get something done, would you like to have her on the team? My God.
All right. Tell my boss
tell
that,
ya,
please.
Every time I listen to her speak, I feel like I have to take a nap. But I'm curious about a few things. I love that quote from Marianne Williamson about the biggest fear we have sometimes is that we're more powerful than we think. And then you talk about living outside the limits. How do you determine that? How do I know what my limits are, and how do I get outside the limits? Could you share anything on that?
Absolutely. It's that fear that I faced is probably a more recent discovery. It sounds weird to say that you're fearful of becoming your best version of yourself, but the thing about it is realizing that the best version of yourself is not who you are today. And therefore, to become that person, everything around you is going to change. And so when you start to feel a little bit nervous, you start to realize that edge, it's getting a little closer. It's a little something I'm not really comfortable with because I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know what's going to happen when I approach the ledge. There's this really awesome quote. It says, public speaking is considered the #1 fear in the United States. Death is number 2. Don't know what that says about our country, but it might be something we want to reflect on. And a lot of people feel like you're about to public speak, your stomach gets heavy, your heart rate increases, your breath gets a little harder. It's like this terrible experience. But if you ask a performer right before they go on stage how they feel, they say, my stomach gets heavy, my heart rate increases, my breath gets short. It's awesome. It's the best feeling ever. And so it's really knowing the limits is when you start having mental and physiological reactions to things, it's a sign that you're starting to approach that limits. And how you approach it is all about your mentality and your perspective. It's really a choice.
Very good. Let's thank Christina.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, hey, we've got 2 more speakers, so hang in there with us because we're bringing out more stuff. But I'm going to give you 60 seconds. I want you to turn to somebody you came with and just take 60 seconds and just share something you got from this evening. Do it now. Just out of curiosity, is there any one person that just wants to scream out one thing you got from this evening? Anybody at all? Confirmation. Confirmation to what you already knew. Yes. So the power of abundance is coming from knowing, which is the absence of doubt. Let me get one more person. Anything else? Inspiration. Inspiration. Thank you. We like to hear that. We want to make an epic shift. We want you to be able to walk the talk. And remember, go to our YouTube channel. It'll make a difference. Now, many of you are probably sitting there and saying, okay, Ron, I got it. We've seen 4 speakers. First speaker was a woman. Second speaker was a woman. Ron, the third speaker was a woman, and the fourth speaker was a woman. And you're all saying, don't guys got anything to say about abundance? And guess what? This guy's saying no. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pick on you, but no, I got a guy speaker for you. Do you want to hear him? Okay, listen. He's a mechanical engineer by trade. He's worked in the automotive business. He's been a product engineer, ended up with 7 patents, brought his own little product to market in 2015. He loves to emcee. He loves to go to charitable events and make a difference. He's won many awards in a lot of things. His name is Travis Dennison. Let's welcome Travis, the first guy speaker.
3 different people had 3 completely different reactions when I told them what I wanted to do. First, there was my sister, Janet. Janet was happy for me. And if I was being honest, I'd say she was a little bit jealous. Next was my friend, Jim. I've known Jim for a long time. I knew Jim before I looked like Anderson Cooper. This guy called me a psychopath, and he was serious. Finally, a guy at work, his hands began to tremble, and he broke out into a cold sweat. You might be wondering, what in the world was I going to do that could draw such a variety of reactions from these people in my life? I told them I was going to be turning off my cell phone for 2 weeks. If you're like me, the connection to your phone has changed over the years. It may have started out as just an innocent flirtation with technology, but now it's blossomed into a full-blown relationship. This device, which was once just an accessory, now feels more like an appendage. For me, I've realized that I come to depend on my phone for more than just communication. I look to it for information, entertainment, utility, who knows what else. And you know what? That got me curious. I wanted to know, how have I changed because of my phone? I wanted to step back in time about 10 years while the rest of the world moved forward. I wanted to identify those habits that I had formed that I was completely oblivious to. And the only way to do this was to go without. And so it began. Saturday morning, September 1st, 2018, in a small neighborhood in Zionsville, I woke up to a new day. On that morning, I woke up and I rolled over, reaching for the nightstand, trying to find my phone. I wasn't even awake for 30 seconds, and I'd already identified one of my habits. I couldn't just lie there in bed and look at the headlines, check my email, scroll through social media. I had to do what they did in the olden days when they woke up on Saturday morning. I had to get out of bed. Lucky for me, I was meeting a woman at a local restaurant that morning, so I quickly had to get up and shower and change, and I was heading out the door, and I grabbed my wallet and my keys and my phone. Habit number 2. For the last several years, every time I left the house, I'd grab my wallet, my keys, and my phone. But not that day. I get to the restaurant, I'm seated, and I'm enjoying the morning's first cup of coffee. Nectar from the gods. And I wait, and I wait. I had no clue what time it was. I stopped wearing a watch years ago. Who needs a watch when you always have your phone with you? I didn't know it at the time, but the woman was going to be about 30 minutes late. She sent me a text. I never got it. So I just sat there with nothing to do. And that's when I absorbed my environment. I watched as a young toddler stood up in his booth, and he looked at the elderly couple sitting behind him. He looked at them, they looked at him, smiles on all their faces. From the kitchen, I could hear music, and a woman with the most beautiful voice was singing a song in a language I didn't understand. The servers walked by with food on their trays, and I could smell the aroma of a dozen different meals. I didn't need everything that my phone had to offer to occupy my mind. I had plenty right there in that restaurant. And in fact, I had an abundance. All I needed to do was to see it, to hear it, and to smell it. A few days into this 14-day journey, it became very evident that being without a phone wasn't affecting just me, but it was affecting those around me. And it gave some of them license to make fun of me. I get home from work one day, my son comes running up to me, Dad, we need to go to the grocery store. We're out of everything. We need milk, we need cereal, we need butter. Oh, wait a second, we don't need butter. You can churn your own now, can't you? Thanks a lot, kid. A guy at work comes up to me, complete exasperation on his face. Oh, Travis, whew, I'm so glad I found you. I saw your horse tied up in the parking lot. You better bring him some water because he looks pretty thirsty. I got an email from a friend. Hey, are the 1850s over? I need to talk to you. I responded to that email with 3 words. Thumbs down emoji. As I got to the end of my 14 days, I began to reflect on everything that I learned, everything that I felt, everything that I experienced. And it was very evident of all the things that the phone had replaced in my life. It replaced my flashlight, my watch, my alarm clock, trips to the bank, music CDs, my computer, maps, a calculator, and on and on and on. But what really spooked me was how it was beginning to replace my attention and my focus. And I didn't like that. I really enjoy taking walks in my neighborhood. And before I leave that front door, I grab my headphones, I plug them in, and I go. But I couldn't do it during this period of time. I still took my walks. And that's when I got to see the beautiful landscaping that my neighbors so lovingly cared for. I could hear lawnmowers moaning off in the distance and kids dribbling basketballs in their driveway. I could smell the fresh-cut grass and my favorite, burgers cooking on the grill. I didn't need everything that my phone had to offer to occupy my mind. I had plenty right there in my neighborhood. And in fact, I had an abundance. All I needed to do was to see it, to hear it, and to Smell it. For me, most journeys I've been on have started right here and they've ended somewhere out there. This 14-day journey for me began somewhere out there and it ended right here. It changed me. No longer did I have to waste my time looking into this electronic promised land where you could get anything you want at the fingertips. I was free. Without my phone, I gained back about 30 minutes each day that I could choose to use however I wanted. All the noise that would bombard me day in and day out was swept away before it ever reached the shore. And for the first time in a very long time, I was able to truly focus on the people most important in my life. I would like to encourage you all to take your own journey. If not for 2 weeks, maybe just 2 days. Or 2 hours. Just being honest. But by then, you'll realize that you won't need everything that your phone has to offer to occupy your life. You have plenty right where you are. And in fact, you have an abundance. And then you'll finally get to see it and to hear it. Smell it. Thank you.
Wow. I told you, I got you a guy. Good work, man. Good work. Look at it, they got standing.
Wow.
I can tell you liked them. Well, that's it. I've got no more guys for you. But if you're interested in coming and speaking about passion, just watch the email, because we're going to want some people to come out. We always like to audition to about 26 people. We'll find 6. But, by the way, do you have your phone with you? No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. But you know, it's not easy to take the moment and dance with it, is it? It's not easy to be in the moment. And do you have any helpful? I mean, there's a lot of distraction that we go through. So how do you do that? Give me some tips.
Wow.
How do I take that moment? How do I get into that? How do I get more focused?
Wow, that's fantastic. I wish it was easy, Ron. And I wish I could give you all something that you would take away going, wow, I can do that. I can now have instant focus. But it starts with wanting focus. If you really want to focus on something, you can, even though you've got all these distractions coming at you. If there's a way that you truly want it and you can block those distractions, then the focus will happen. So if you can squirrel away, keep the noise away, your focus will just pop up.
Yeah, he talks about the concept of wanting. And what I know is a basic law of the universe is that you can never create anything in opposition of what you really want in your life. So if you're happy right now, you're happy right now. You can't be sad. If you're sad, you're sad. Then if you recreate the experience of what made you unhappy, you can get to be happy. But let's hear it again for Travis. That was great.
Thank you very much.
So much.
Yep.
Thank you. Oh my God. So guess what? We're almost at the end of the show. If you want to hear your last speaker, let me hear it. Ready? Everybody say it. We want our next speaker. We want our next speaker. We want our next speaker. Okay, I'm sorry. I did that for my own amusement. You know, I'm so thrilled to be here. In fact, at my age, I'm thrilled to be anywhere. So this lady that I'm going to introduce, yes, a lady. You ladies have a lot of passion behind this message, and they won out. They really did. This lady her name is Maddie. She's kind of interesting. She has an abundant family. She's got 5 children. She's a national speaker on wellness. She's a national speaker on developing successful mindset and business mindset. She's a Reiki instructor. Anybody do yoga? She's an advanced yoga instructor. But again, an abundant family, 5 kids. And she has a passion behind this thing called abundance. Let's welcome Maddie Audrey to the stage.
Well, hello, everybody. Are you guys feeling abundant yet? All right. Well, we're hoping that we're giving you some tools to take home. So, what if I were to tell you that everything you needed to live an abundant life was inside of you right now? Yeah? That you've actually had it with you your entire life. Some people would say, yeah, I heard a yeah. And some people would say, yeah, right. Which doesn't really surprise me when we define abundance as this. To have abundance is to have more than you need. This definition invokes some pretty interesting feelings, at least it did for me. The concept of having more than you need. So the thought around wanting an abundant life makes you feel a little selfish. Well, I shouldn't have more than I need, right? Maybe a little self-centered. Maybe somebody else should have some more. And this kind of leads to just what our society is telling us. We live in a world where this concept of being a martyr, self-sacrifice, is idealized. It's something to strive for. And what's sad about that is this concept of being a martyr has actually shifted into who's the biggest victim. And the biggest victims are taught, hey, if I've suffered more than you, I should have more than you. And sadly, what we're doing is we are robbing ourselves and our kids and our future generations of their abundance with that mindset. So what I want to do with you guys today is I want to invite you to go on a journey with me. I want you to come on a journey to meet a girl that I once knew who's only different than the rest of us because she chooses to see the world a little differently. So I want you to go with me to meet Mindy. She's a 7-year-old girl, kind of awkwardly tall, brown hair, green eyes. And at this very moment, she's on her way home from school, and she's riding on the bus. She's the last kid off the bus every single day, and so she has a pretty long bus ride. And the truth be told, she's actually grateful for that long bus ride because she's terrified of what could potentially be waiting for her at home. There's this familiar daily sense of dread and anxiety that fills her. And so as she's sitting on the bus, she's kind of just absorbing the world around her. She's staring at the trees out her window. And it gets worse when the bus turns onto a gravel road, because that's her road. And she can't tell if this feeling of wanting to fall off the front of her seat is the vibration from the gravel underneath the tires of the bus or the anxiety that's got her so scared. So she sits there and she focuses on the trees and the forest around her home. The green that she has learned to love so much because the woods have become her sanctuary. A color green that she believes God has made that color just for her. She's never seen that color green anywhere else. The bus makes a turn around a 90-degree corner, and Mindy's heart sinks because she sees a powder blue trailer, which is her home, and in that driveway is an ordinary white work van. The problem is, when that van is in that driveway, her life has pretty much been flipped upside down. The person who owns that van is somebody that Mindy loves more than anything in this world. And the person who owns that van loves Mindy more than words can express. You see, her father has demons, and he has pain, and he has suffering. And his coping mechanism is drinking way too much beer. So when her father gets home from work too early, he's usually drunk. And that's not good for anybody. So as the bus comes to a stop, she musters up the courage to get up and step off that bus. And as the gravel crunches under her feet, it's absolutely deafening. And all she wants to do is turn around to that bus driver and beg that bus driver to save her. Beg. And the only thing that keeps her from doing it is the fear that she's going to be taken away from a family she loves so much. So instead, she swallows her plea, and she puts one foot in front of the other. She walks towards her trailer, wondering if today is going to be the day that her mother, her brother, or her could die. We're going to fast forward a little bit. Mindy's a little older. It's a cold winter's night, freshly fallen snow. And we find Mindy and her mother and her brother outside in the middle of the woods with nothing but a trash bag. All Mindy can really hear at this moment is her mother sobbing from her fear, and her brother's shaky breath. And she's sandwiched in between them because she's the youngest and they're trying to take care of her. And she can feel their terror because they're hiding from another one of their father's drunken rages. And oddly enough, Mindy's calm. She feels the biting cold, but what she notices more than anything is the night sky. No clouds, stars are dancing overhead. And she drifts asleep between her mother and her brother, covered in only a trash bag, knowing that the world is much bigger than that moment. We're going to jump forward quite a bit. Mindy's now the ripe old age of 15. It's a joke. You should laugh. Because at the ripe old age of 15, sadly, Mindy has survived the torture of her home, the divorce of her parents, the legal system, a mental health hospital, the diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder, the introduction of an unloving stepfather, and being raped twice. She's no longer speaking to her father. Her mother believes her to be a troublemaker, and the school guidance counselor is telling her she'll be lucky to graduate high school. So I ask you, what do you think will become of Mindy? Teen pregnancy? Drug addicted? Suicide? Depressed and medicated? Those are kind of the statistical odds, right? Well, if you guys haven't figured it out, I am Mindy. Mindy was a childhood nickname. I go by Maddie now. And it's interesting. You guys are probably wondering, how did this miraculous transition happen? And so I've thought about this, and there was this one moment, and it was after one of these miraculous bus rides, that I got off the bus, and that white work van was in the driveway. And I walked in the house. I was 14 years old, and I had the hardest conversation I've ever had in my entire life. I sat my mom down, and I told her, you can die here, and you can die like this, but I won't. And I didn't know where I was going to go, and I didn't know what I was going to do, and I didn't know where I was going to live, but by golly, it was going to be on my terms. And I was going to figure it out. But it wasn't going to be that. And you know what? It worked. My mom left. I got what I wanted. Case closed, right? Should be easy now. Oh, hell no. It got so much worse. That's when the PTSD kicked in, the nightmares, the blackouts, everything that I thought my world came crashing down. Because even though my life sucked, it was still a foundation and I understood it. When I went out into the world, something different, I didn't know what was going to happen. And my life fell apart. So the cool thing was over the next few years, I had to make that decision over and over again. I don't know, you can do this, you can do it that way, you can choose this for you, but it doesn't work for me. And over a few years, it actually led to me living in my beloved disco biscuit. Did anybody have a disco biscuit? Because I loved my disco biscuit. I wish I still had it. So I was about 17 years old when I made the decision to move into my car because the life everybody else was planning for me wasn't working. And so I said, okay, I'm done. Disco biscuit, here I come. So I decided to be homeless and live out of my car, and that was the first time in my entire life that I felt free, that I felt abundant because it was on my terms. And I loved it. And that started a course that actually led to the Andrews Chateau, which is the house that we joke about now that I live in with my husband and our 5 kids, because the 5 kids don't fit in the disco biscuit. We could try, but I don't think it's going to work. So as I started thinking about, like, why have I attracted so much abundance? How did this work for me? How did I go from there to here? And so I thought about my life experiences. I thought about my work and helping people work through trauma and what I've figured out. And there became 2 things that were blaringly obvious to me. Our circumstances create empowerment if we let them. And 2, loving yourself and feeling worthy of love is key. They're necessary. So what do I mean by the circumstances equal empowerment? I'm going to revisit this concept of victimhood again. Look at Mindy's perspective. That bus ride happened 180 days a year for 9 years. That hiding in the snow was one night of many. And I didn't even go into the stories where hiding wasn't an option, and it ended pretty badly. And I thought I might be dying, or I thought my mom was going to die. There were nights where I held my mom covered in blood, and I didn't even know where it was coming from. So I want to ask you, how many of you guys would think that Mindy is a victim? That I was a victim because of my childhood? Anybody? So I'm going to challenge that for a minute, because haven't we all had something bad happen to us? Every single one of us, we've lost people that we love. Something bad happens to all of us. That's just an event. It doesn't make us a victim. What I got from these experiences, I've never, ever felt like a victim, not once in my life. What I got from them is it taught me what I'm made of, what I can go out into the world and do, the strength that's within me. It was just an event. So I want to ask you, what's some narrative that you may have that was put there, maybe by a parent or a grandparent or an institution or a teacher, somebody who meant well, that you've just blindly adopted? I'll give you a great example. When I was a kid, I was the youngest and I was the only girl. And I was told pretty much that my only purpose in life was to grow up, get married, have babies. Nobody ever said anything about going to college. Nobody ever empowered me to go out and make a difference. Nobody ever taught me that there was the ability for me as a woman to go out and empower people to change the world. So I've questioned that narrative. So has there ever been a message that was put there in your life that you just haven't questioned? And if so, I want you to ask yourself, is it serving you? Is it allowing you to live the type of life you want to live? Is it letting you fulfill your dreams? And if it's not, ask yourself why and what do I want? How many people in here have ever had somebody ask you, what do you want? And you didn't know how to answer that. It's because we don't think about it. And that's really sad. So that leads me to my next thing, and this is my favorite thing. Becoming your own biggest fan. I love this one. Love it. I actually get made fun of for this, believe it or not. There'll be moments during the day that I'm just walking around the house and I'm like, I'm awesome. The worst part's when there's somebody there to hear it and they're like, what? And I'm like, yep, I'm awesome. So I want you guys to take a moment and look at somebody that you know, that you came with tonight, and tell them how wonderful they are. You guys are a chatty bunch. I love it. So it's really easy. It's really easy for us to tell the people in our lives how much they mean to us, how they make our lives better, right? So now I want you to do this with me, and I want you to do it out loud. I want you to repeat after me. I'm awesome.
I'm awesome.
I'm wonderful.
I'm wonderful.
I'm lovable.
I'm lovable.
I'm worthy. I'm enough. And I am abundant. Yeah, woo! Exactly right. So, you guys seem like a pretty happy, positive group, but for a lot of people, that's awkward. Saying those statements is awkward. Because again, I get made fun of when I say, I'm awesome. Because then people are like, whoa, that girl be arrogant. And really what it is for me, I never had a cheerleader. I never had anybody who picked me up and said, you can do whatever you want to do. So I learned how to do it for myself. And that was the best flipping gift my childhood ever gave me. Because I watch people on a daily basis struggle to believe in themselves. And I don't ever question myself. So I want you guys to have that gift of knowing you are enough, you are worthy, and living an abundant life is your birthright. So take it. So your goal should be to learn to like and love yourself. And if you don't, ask yourself, I'm going to ask you, don't answer this one out loud. Do you love yourself? And some of you will say yes. And thank you. Thank you for taking the time to learn to love yourself. Some of you will say, yeah, but you'll have conditions. Maybe if I was a little thinner. Maybe if I had this job. Maybe if I was a better parent. Maybe if I was a better spouse. Some of you guys, it's a flat out no. What I want you guys to do is to learn to love yourself, because when you learn to love yourself, then you feel worthy of love. And when you feel worthy of love, you feel worthy of receiving love. And you begin to realize there are gifts around you every single day that pass you by. And when you slow down enough to say, I'm worthy and I will receive it, you have abundance already around you in every single moment. So your homework is to go home 5 minutes of every single day and write down something you like and love about yourself, something that you did well. I don't care what it was. Maybe you were a great coworker. Maybe you finished your job early. Maybe you were a great spouse or great parent. I don't care what it is, because I can guarantee you this. You went out somewhere today and you made somebody's life better for just being you. And so I'm standing here to tell you, thank you. Now thank yourself and learn to love yourself. Because if you can do that and you can truly love yourself, you can love people better. You'll be a better parent. You'll be a better spouse. You'll be a better employee or boss. And you'll get to go out and model this concept of abundance to everybody. So we started with the definition. And I want to end with a definition. There's this concept of abundance. And abundance, everybody thinks it's about acquiring or attaining. I have the Andre Chateau. That doesn't make me abundant. What makes me abundant is me. What makes you abundant is you and what you have to offer. So what I would like to do is shift this concept, this definition of abundance, that it is having more than you need, or it's about acquiring something. And I want you guys to go out of here knowing that this concept of abundance is a state of being. It's a state of existence. And it is simply this: the ability to enjoy your life. Thank you so much.
Keep going. That's great. That's great. Wow. Wow. I keep seeing myself on this bus down that road. But being your own biggest fan, I love that. And I'm just curious. You could have gone in a different direction.
Yeah.
But somehow she made a choice. It sounded like she made a choice. And so my question is when did you do that? How did you do that? What did it take to do that?
I guess what it takes to realize, to make that choice, is I guess just realizing that everybody else is kind of full of shit.
So wait a minute. So what you're telling the audience is that shit happens.
Shit happens.
Oh, okay, but go
Well,
ahead,
and-
complete your thought.
And
Shift happens.
Shift
That's what I meant to
happens,
say.
to kind of elaborate on that is we all have our own journeys in life. We all have our own purpose. And when we allow other people outside of ourselves to dictate, to tell us what we should be doing, what we should be, what we're supposed to become, then it pushes us off our path. And it gets us away from who we are and what our purpose is here. And so if you can pause in those moments when life is happening, because abundance doesn't mean life gets easy. Life's still hard. But if you can pause in those moments and realize that those aren't who you are, there's a lesson to be learned, and whatever those people are saying is just their opinion, and they're full of shit.
Let's hear it from Addie. So, hey. Just stay. So, hey, by the way, if you enjoyed the show, can I get a hell yeah? You want to see your speakers again? Come on out, speakers. Here they come. Look at that.
Check.
And is Steve coming? Okay.
Testing, 1, 2.
So listen, I wanna introduce you to somebody that has the vision for this whole program. His name is Steve Ross. Many of you may have met him.
Woo!
Thank you.
But I just want to mention, please go to walktotalkseries.com, communicate with us. You're part of the tribe. Go to YouTube, watch the videos, watch these videos, like them, share them, and comment. And if you think this is an audience that you want to reach, maybe you want to become a sponsor. Just tell us that. Other than that, we hope to see you on February 5th for the Passion Program. And Steve, any closing comments?
All I can say is let's give a big round of applause for these great speakers tonight and the messages. They, yeah. I get goosebumps every time I come out to this. This is our 20th talk, which Ron said. For 3.5 years, we've entertained over 5,000 people in these events that we have. As he also said, we've had 70,000 unique views of our videos on our YouTube channel and an equal amount on when we post them on our Facebook page. So share them, like them, follow them. The biggest thing I want people to take away is the messages that these people share, because that's the whole reason for this. And as I've told everybody many times, is the more of these that we do, the more that I walk the talk, the more I'm honest with myself and the more authentic I become. So if everybody in here can take something away like that tonight, that would be great. So, yeah.
By the way, you got Hannah on the end, stage manager.
Hannah's used part of it, the band.
Kept everything
Yeah.
going. And the Walk the Talk band, one more time.
Yeah. So, one more thing I want to say. There's a lot of takeaways tonight, and I think my takeaway tonight is I am enough. Woohoo! And we are enough, right? We all are enough. So therein lies our abundance. So you guys ready for the balloon drop? Okay. So if you haven't been here before, inside the balloon is a motivational phrase. It's based on tonight's topic. They'll fall and drop and... Wait a minute. Kevin, is your daughter here tonight? Oh, his daughter usually gets about 8 or 9 of them. So anyway, so let the balloon drop rock, and thank you, everybody.
Illinois Central, and I sell on Central Stage. Gonna keep on